Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome, fellow councillors, officers. I don't think we have any members of the public today. It's welcome to South Kest Stevens Planning Committee meeting, 14th of July 2022. I'm Councillor David Bellamy, the chairman of the committee. I will be chairing this meeting today, and with me will be Vice Chair Councillor Penny Milnes. Housekeeping, I'm not aware of any fire drills taking place today, so if the fire alarm does sound, then please vacate the building via the stairs. The meeting place is outside on the front grass. Can everybody make sure that their phones are turned to silent, please? Please be aware that this meeting is being recorded and also being live streamed via YouTube. Can you ensure that your microphones are turned off when not speaking, please? With us today, we have Assistant Director of Planning, Emma Whitaker, Principal Planning Officers, Phil Jordan, Adam Murray and Ellie Siller, Assistant Planning Officer, Anna Nooch, Democratic Services, Amy Pride, and Legal Advisor, Mark Howell. There are no public speakers today or ward councillors speaking. So there's, like I said, there's no need to sort of, there's no public speakers, excuse me. We'll now go ahead with agenda item 1, apologies for absence and register of attendance.
Thank you, Chairman. We've received apologies from Councillor Judy Smith, Councillor Harish Bisnal-Singh and Councillor Phil Dilks. Councillor Gloria Johnson will be substituting for Councillor Judy Smith, and Councillor Paul Wood will be substituting for Councillor Harish Bisnal-Singh. And I'll just take a roll call. Councillor David Bellamy.
Present.
Councillor Penny Milnes. Present. Councillor Penny Robbins. Present. Councillor Nick Robbins.
Present.
Councillor Ian Selby.
Present, Mr. Chairman.
Councillor Judy Stevens.
Yes, here, thanks.
Councillor Ian Stokes.
Present, and could I add an apology for Councillor Rosemary Gabriel Brown?
I will note that in the minutes. Councillor Stokes, thank you. Councillor Gloria Johnson.
Present.
And Councillor Paul Wood.
Yes, present.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Amy. Agenda item 2, does anyone have any disclosure of interest for consideration? If you believe you have at any point in the meeting, then please let us know. No? Item 3, minutes of the meeting held on the 19th of May 2022. Would Councillor Selby?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of little things, Mr. Chairman. I believe that we had an extension to the time of that meeting, and I can't find it recorded, Mr. Chairman. I just think there's something like that we should record if we do extend the meeting. And also, Mr. Chairman, just a minor thing as well. It doesn't say at the end of the meeting what time the meeting closed, which we usually do put the time of the closing of the meeting on as well. Apart from that, I'm happy to propose the meeting, the minutes.
Yep. Thank you, Ian. We can make sure that those changes are made to the minutes. So do we have a seconder, please? Councillor Johnson? Yep. Yep. So we'll go to the vote on that one. All those in favour, please. Then we'll also we have minutes of the meeting held on the 16th of June 2022. Could I have a proposal or any comments, please?
Propose the minutes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Selby. Councillor Penny Robbins.
I'll second that.
Anybody, any comments about the 16th of June minutes? No? So we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you. Now we'll move to the main agenda. Agenda item 5 is S220458. We have no public speakers, so we'll go straight to the planning officer's presentation. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Chairman, and good afternoon, members. Yes, the first items on the agenda are S220458 and S220536. Proposal in this case is for alterations to a shop front and central courtyard with a single-storey rear extension and internal alterations. There's two applications being considered here. First one being the full planning permission and the second one being the associated listed building consent. And the site location in this case is 6 Red Lion Square in Stamford. And the applications have been referred to Planning Committee due to the applicant being Councillor John Dawson. So the site here is a retail premises located on the corner of Red Lion Square and St John Street in the centre of Stamford. So just a aerial overview there, and then just the site location plan there that you can see, just showing, as I say, the view of the site there with Red Lion Square at the north here, and then St John Street running along the east here. Number 6 Red Lion Square and number 14 St John Street form a single retail premises which is used as a jewellers. Number 6 is a grade 2 listed building, which Historic England's list entry says was originally a medieval guildhall. And number 7, the adjacent property, is also grade 2 listed, and there's a rear extension to that property which forms part of the site, which is associated with that listing. The element of the building, so number 14, which fronts onto St John Street, is unlisted, but the site itself as a whole falls within the Stamford Conservation Area. So just to show you in terms of a bit of context of the site itself, the site itself has a rear internal courtyard to the rear of number 14 here. This element of the building here is that sort of gabled extension onto number 7, which forms part of the listing. And then you've got a further rear courtyard to the rear of the site here. And as I say, you've got number 14 and number 6, which form a single retail unit, and then number 7, which falls outside of the application site. So just take you through some photos to give you a bit of context. This is looking from Red Lion Square at the north, so looking towards number 6 Red Lion Square here on the left and number 7 on the right. So it's number 6, the jewellers here, which forms part of the application site. And then just coming around the corner onto St John Street, this is the shop frontage looking from St John Street. And again, looking at that right-hand side of the shop frontage. And then moving towards the rear of the site, so looking first at that internal courtyard, so to the rear of number 14. This is the rear elevation of number 14 here, and then the southern element of the site here. And then moving round, this is the northern elevation, so the rear part of number 6, Red Lion Square here. And then this is looking towards effectively the gable-ended part of the extension from number 7. So from within that internal courtyard, looking to your left, effectively, that is the elevation that you'd face there. And then finally, that's having moved through that extension element, this is looking at that elevation. So if you're standing at the rear courtyard, looking back towards effectively the rear of number 14. And then this is looking at the rear outlook. So looking from that rear courtyard, effectively looking out of the site then. In terms of the proposals, the scheme includes a number of internal and external alterations, which mainly influence the modern element of the premises, which is number 14. The internal courtyard here, the modern extensions which form part of that courtyard are to be demolished, and the courtyard would then be covered with this flat roof with a substantial timber framed lantern. And the current internal staircase would be replaced with a new limestone staircase in the northeastern corner, providing access into the property. And then at the rear of the site, beyond that, in the rear courtyard, there would be a new single-story extension, which would be approximately 3 meters high and built with stone. Again, that would have a flat roof with a single roof line. And then in terms of the listed building consent, the internal alterations to number 14 include the removal of the main internal staircase and a partition wall, which would link number 6 and number 14 at the first floor level. And then in terms of external alterations, there's a replacement shop front to number 14. No alterations to the north facing elements of number 6 here. So just to take you through some images of the elevations. As I say, you can see the existing elevation here on the left-hand side, that's looking from St. John Street, and the proposed elevation, which is the replacement shop front there. As I say, number 6, that shop front would remain as existing. Then looking at existing and proposed elevations, so looking towards that rear courtyard. So this would be the single-story flat roof extension in that rear courtyard. And then looking to the changes at the internal courtyard. So this is looking currently at the rear elevation of number 14, showing there then the proposed new cover with the roof lantern and the new staircase. Again, then turning around, so looking towards the rear of number 6 within that vantage point there. And then looking at that eastern elevation, so looking towards the gable-ended addition to number 7 from that angle. And then finally, the southern elevation. So this is looking towards the rear, as I say, of number 6 and number 7 with that stone coat elevation. In this case, the key issues in terms of both applications are the design quality and then the impact on the heritage assets. Full assessment of the 2 applications are set out in the case officer reports. Important things to note here is that Historic England and the Council's Conservation Officer have both raised no objections subject to the inclusion of appropriate conditions. Effectively, it's only minor alterations to the exterior of the building from those public vantage points, mainly linked to the shop front changes, which is effectively replacing one shop front with another. The main elements of that shop frontage would be retained. The single-story extension and the internal courtyard replacement effectively are replacing modern additions. So the officer assessment in that case is it would actually enhance the character of the site. And there's no adverse visual impact in terms of the setting of the historic building, the conservation area, or the character of the area in general. So in this case, the recommendation is to authorize the Assistant Director to approve the plan permission subject to conditions within the officer report. And then in terms of the listed building, again, to authorize the grants for the listed building consent subject to conditions. And I'll hand back to you there, Chairman.
Thank you, Adam. Just for clarification, S220458 is for full planning permission. S220536 is listed building consent. So we'll ask questions and debate the 2 together, but they'll be voted on separately. Any questions for Adam, please? Councillor Stokes.
Thank you. I know that this is a reason for referral if the applicant is a councillor. If this had not been a councillor, would this development have been authorised by the planning officer?
Yes, so in this case, given the nature of the scheme, other than the scheme of delegation, which requires councillor applications to come to a committee, yeah, the recommendation would have been the same, that it would have been recommended for approval.
I'd like to move that we accept the officer's recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Stokes. I'll take it that that's for the first one. So Councillor Stokes is proposing S220458. Councillor Wood has seconded that. Any other comments or questions, please? Councillor Selby.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one quick question regarding the Stamford Town Council. It says no objection. Did they reply as such, or did they just not respond? Did they reply that they've got no objection? How did they respond to that?
Adam?
Yeah, so I think in this case, Town Council did respond, say no objection, and effectively deferred it to the case officer and the conservation officer.
Any other questions, any debate for S220458? No, well, I'm assuming everybody's happy then. So we have a proposer, Councillor Ian Stokes, a seconder, Councillor Paul Wood. All those in favour of accepting the officer recommendation? For the benefit of the recording, that was unanimous. Could I have any questions on S220536, please, or anybody want to debate? Councillor Stokes has proposed. Councillor Penny Robbins has seconded. If everybody's happy, we'll go to the vote to accept the officer recommendation. All those in favour, please. Thank you. That is unanimous. Now we'll move on to item 7, S220928. And I'll hand over to the presenting officer, Anna Nooch.
Thank you, Chairman. So application S220928 is a listed building consent application for the insertion of structural timber supports around existing ceiling joists in the ladies' toilet.
Anna, could you just pull your microphone down a little bit,
Oh,
please, so
sorry.
we can hear,
Do you want me to
hear
start
you a bit?
again?
Yeah,
Yes.
lovely, thank you.
So application S22/0928 is a listed building consent application for the insertion of structural timber supports around existing ceiling joists in the ladies' toilets at Stamford Arts Centre. The Arts Centre is located on St Mary Street in Stamford, and the application is being presented to committee because the applicant is South Kesteven District Council. So the key issues with this application is the impact on the heritage asset, which is that the Stamford Arts Centre is a Grade 2 star listed building. So this slide shows the site location plan with the Arts Centre outlined in red, and you can see that it's on St Mary Street in the Stamford Town Centre. So this is a photo of the existing ceiling timbers, and on the right-hand side, you should be able to see the condition of the existing timbers showing deterioration. So this has been confirmed due to being from wood boring insects causing an infestation. So alongside the insertion of the timber supports, they'd also be treating the existing timbers for the infestation. So the works are internal only, and there would be no removal of historic fabric, with the proposal for the insertion of the timbers to allow for there to be no removal of the historic fabric, so the existing timbers would remain. The works are considered to enable the ongoing use and maintenance of this part of the listed building, and there's been no objections to the scheme and no objections from SKDC's conservation officer. Therefore, I've recommended the application for approval. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Anna. Any questions for Anna, please? Councillor Selby.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With woodworm, it obviously indicates that there's a possible problem with moisture and lack of ventilation. Is that the case here, or is it due to age of the problem? And also just probably not a planning issue, but are grants available if a building's got listed building consent? Can they get grants for repairs and stuff like that? Thank you.
So the report that was submitted with the application stated it was largely likely due to the age of the listed building, that the deterioration of the timbers. And then with regards to the grants, I do think there is something, but I wouldn't be able to comment. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Any other questions, please, for Anna? Anybody want to debate? Councillor Stokes?
Well, it seems that this is most essential work and that we should approve it. And I'll move that.
Okay, we have a proposer and Councillor Selby, a seconder. Any other comments before we go to the vote? No? So we'll go to the vote. All those in favour of the officer recommendation, please raise your hands. Thank you. That's approved. That is unanimous again. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda. Which is item 8, application S220353. And presenting again is Adam. When you're ready, Adam, thank you. Ian, Councillor Stokes, could you turn your microphone off, please? No, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman. As you say, the next item on the agenda is S220353, and this is an application for listed building consent for repairs and refurbishment, including repointing and repairs to external walls, replacement of drip moulding on the front elevation, new render on the front dormer windows, and replastering of internal walls at Reedman's Court, which is 9 to 10 St George's Street in Stamford. And the application has been referred to committee due to the applicant being Councillor Harish Bisnousing. As I say, in this case, the site is a 1.5-storey stone-built cottage located to the eastern side of St George's Street on the east of Stamford Town Centre. So just briefly there, a wider context plan, and then zoomed in, just aerial view again there. And as I say, the property here is on the eastern side of St George's Street. The site in this case forms part of a range of Grade 2 listed buildings alongside the adjacent properties at number 6, number 7 and number 11 St George's Street, and is also located within Stamford Conservation Area. In this case, the works to the listed building have been carried out, and it seeks retrospective consent then for a number of repair and refurbishment works. So it's looking to regularise the works that have been undertaken. So in terms of showcasing what has been undertaken, this is a Google Street View image effectively showing the building as of October 2015. And then looking now at more recent photos taken by the case officer in March of this year, showcasing the works that have been completed. So the first image shows the works that have been undertaken to effectively repair and repoint the stonework. And you can see the change then in terms of replacing the rendering on the property. And then just moving through, you can see the new drip mouldings that have been prepared as part of the scheme on that front elevation. As I say, you can see the dormers with the new render that's been completed. And then internally, the plasterwork has been replaced. So just to showcase there, which shows effectively the new plaster as it now stands. In this case, key in consideration is the impact on the heritage asset. Again, officer assessment is set out in full in the report. Most notably, the conservation officer has been consulted and has confirmed that the works in this case have been carried out in a sympathetic manner and use appropriate materials. So they've got no objections. There's no objections from any other consultees. So in this case, the recommendation is to authorise the Assistant Director of Planning to grant the listed building consent subject to conditions. And I'll hand back to you again then, Chairman.
Thank you, Adam. Any questions for Adam, please? Councillor Nick Robbins.
Thank you, Chairman. Thanks, Adam. You won't always get an easy ride like this today. The council is aware is a planning committee member. The council is a Stamford councillor, and the council is well aware of Article 4 direction in Stamford. I'm just wondering why it's retrospective planning permission that's come forward for us today.
Sorry, Councillor Robbins, I think that's irrelevant from the decision-making process. It's either policy compliant or it's not, although that could be answered. Yeah, I'll hand over to Emma. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Happy to answer. So in terms of today's decision, the works are either acceptable or they're not. But from what I understand, the council did ask initially for the question about whether the works he was initially proposing were repairs. That, as is sometimes the case, has started, and then it's unearthed other things that need repairing, and then it's sort of just fallen outside the scope of what is considered a repair that doesn't require consent. So I understand that sounds a bit odd because it's a repair still to the building, but in listed building consent terms, you get repairs that do not require consent, and you get repairs in a bigger sense that do require consent, and it's just slipped into there. I don't think there was any sort of malice or intention in that sort of sense, but as I say, today's test is, are the works acceptable or are they not acceptable? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for Adam, please? Anybody? Oh, Councillor Ian Stokes.
Thank you. Again, this is another matter that wouldn't have come to the committee if the applicant hadn't been a councillor. And I would like to recommend that we approve the list of building consent.
So Councillor Ian Stokes, as proposed, we accept the officer recommendation. Councillor Nick Robbins has seconded. Does anybody else want to make a comment? Councillor Ian Selby, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Why is Stamford such a beautiful town? It's because certain people care about it and they undertake, in my view, this is job well done. And it's just nice to see, regardless of who the applicant is, it's a little bit of TLC's gone into this work. And I think it's a job well done, Mr. Chairman. I'm happy to support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Selby. I think the report does mention the quality of the work is certainly up to scratch. Thank you for that comment. Anybody else got anything else to say? If not, we've got a proposal from Councillor Ian Stokes, seconded by Councillor Nick Robbins, to accept the officer report to approve the application. All those in favour, please raise your hands. And that is unanimous, so that's approved. Thank you. We have no more agenda items, and I'm not aware of any other business. Councillor Ian Selby.
Don't forget to record the time of the meeting, Mr. Chairman. That it finishes. But you've gone for the record today, haven't you? Thank you.
Yeah, so the time is 13:30, and I'll bring the meeting to a close. Thank you very much, everybody.